Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 23 of Perfect Album Sides. And as you can see in the co-captain's chairs, we have the UK connection together for this episode for you here this morning. Welcome, Simon Bray and Stephen Reed. What's happening, fellas?
Excited to be on a different show. We've been let loose, Simon.
Do you remember that time when they let us go on the album homework assignment?
I do.
Doesn't the world look different here?
It's totally different. It was absolutely weird to have been let out of that little box that we're normally in.
Yeah. Well, let's be true here. You guys also escaped another time when you were both on the Hudson Valley Squares for a holiday show. Remember that?
Christmas.
Was it Christmas? Yeah, it was Christmas, right? Yeah. So technically, it wasn't a Hudson Valley Squares show because it wasn't called that, but it was a Monday night show, if I remember correctly.
I thought that everyone else had been invited to the UK connection.
Well, you know what? That could be too. Yeah. All right. So we won't count that one. We won't count that one. So, but here we
lost all the people that have never watched us before already.
It's like, who are those two guys that are on my Monday night show? Damn it.
Where are those Hudson Valley Squares gone?
What are the subtitles doing?
Why aren't Ken and Lewis shouting at each other on In the Prog Seat?
I don't know. So as everybody does know, here on Perfect Album Sides, we each are going to pick a side from an album we love, where it's got to be 2 or more songs, and every song we feel is perfect, a 5 out of 5 star classic. We never skip any song on that side. If there's one song on the side that we're kind of like, yeah, that's pretty good, doesn't count. Every song we have to love, every song we have to always play, every song is an absolute classic. And with that being said, we've all got our sides and our albums. So Simon, I'll have you kick us off with your Perfect Album side here this morning.
Obviously, you think that's what I'm going to do, but you'll be wrong. Because, you know, what I've really enjoyed about this series is I've really enjoyed looking at people's comments. And, you know, obviously people go for the absolute solid gold classics and stuff like that. And, you know, the certain records within our paradigms, or you think, well, I've got to choose that or something like that. But I think it was on Wednesday last week, somebody said, I'd like to nominate, really obscure, nobody else will know what it is, the side 2 of Rough Justice by Spider.
Yes, I commented on that just the other day.
I am not going to nominate it, but it is a phenomenally good, Qualites kind of record. It really is. And if you've never heard it, I have no idea if you can stream it or anything. It's really good. But I like side 1. But I just thought, you know, wouldn't like anybody to think that I wasn't paying attention. Spider, you familiar, Pete?
No.
I
love that album cover, though.
And you like a bit of Quo.
You like
a lot of Quo in there. Okay.
Very, very cool.
I think that side 2, does side 2 open with Death Row, Simon?
Yes, it does.
See, I think that spoken intro is probably what shades it into side 2 being the perfect side.
Yeah.
When the judge goes, and sniffer.
Yeah, the commercial stuff's on side 1, isn't it? It's a really great record. I wanted to give it some love. But the album I want to get, the side I want to give love to is, and actually I listened to it yesterday, and I always listen to the whole album, start to finish. I never miss any of it. I love this album nearly as much as I love Some of My Children. Is the first Damn Yankees album. It's a phenomenal record. It's despite the fact that it's produced and engineered by Ron Nevison, it's a great sounding record. The guitars sound great. He does get a little bit of stick, doesn't he?
He gets quite a lot of sound, and quite a lot of it is justified, to be fair.
Yeah, but this is just perfect in every way, shape, and form. I genuinely love it. I'm actually saying I love something that's got Ted Nugent on, because I don't feel that me and Ted are politically aligned, but that doesn't matter, because, you know, I can separate the artist from the music. I genuinely can. It's just great, coming of age. You know, the opening guitar lick on that. I'm not doing a Stephen Reed. I just can't do that. You know, bad reputation. Everyone needs to run away. High enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, really, and then the eponymous Damn Yankees. everyone and everything about it is great. The harmonies, oh my God. I mean, it's not much of a shock, is it? You've got Tommy Shaw and Jack Black. It's not much of a shock, really, is it? Really? Who would have thought that they couldn't harmonise, eh? Yeah, I could equally do the same with side two, but I've gone with side one. And like I said, I just listen to the whole thing every time, start to finish. And I also noticed I have never taken the plastic cover off that it came in.
I did notice that, yeah. I did.
Weird, isn't it? Also, I have a Damn Yankees story. Not that I've ever seen the band or anything, but one time, because it's one of those albums I bought on like every format. One time I was in Debenhams in Preston, and I was looking at, and I found the CD single in a sale. Sorry, the single version of the album, CD version of the album in a sale. And me being me, as you know, Stephen, from recent events, I probably found another 5 or 6 CDs at the same time. So I just thought to myself, oh, I'll just pop them on the inside of my jean jacket and pay for them later. It was only when I was about to pay them that I saw like about 6 security guards right behind me, ready to cosh my brains in, as I actually did buy it and everything that was in my pocket. But this is Samuel in the story. And apparently I went ticky at the 7th floor, ticky in the CD section, and couldn't be. You know, when you're looking through for records and albums and stuff, you got to have 2 things, you got 2 arms. You think, yeah, you got to do.
I've never put them in my
Shit!
jacket.
I'm gonna die.
I've never thought the best thing to do was to secrete them on my person.
Well, I did. Life, eh? But yeah, I love that. I really, really think it's a great melodic rock record. And I know it's not on side two, but it ends with Pile Driver, which is just phenomenally heavy, and yeah, just a great record. It stands the test of time. I played it yesterday. I was just walking down the street, nodding away with happiness and joy, even though it was pissing down like it always is. It's just a great record. Big thumbs up from me.
Well, yeah, I agree. I like that side a lot. The whole album is great, and you know that second album is pretty damn good too.
It is, yeah.
Classic that the first one is, but yeah, cool. So side one of Damn Yankees, self-titled. It's a good one. And Stephen, what do you got?
Well, maybe best to mention before I reveal what my album is that I asked you a quick question before we came on air. And that quick question was, could I go with something that you wouldn't normally necessarily expect to see on SOT? And Peter, gracious as always, went, yeah, of course, absolutely, of course you can. So the album that I've chosen was released on the 12th of October in 1987, and it was produced by a chap called Chris Thompson, and it is the 6th album by this band. And this was my introduction to them, and I'm going with side one, side A, I don't know. Never actually owned the vinyl version of it, although I have had one in my house many years ago because a friend introduced me to Kick by INXS. Okay, now I will say at this stage that the friend who introduced me to them was not one of my go-to guys for music. Okay, so I'm sorry, Stephen Antonovich, who I haven't seen for I don't know how many decades now. Okay, but he used to take me, we would meet up at the weekend, we would, go play snooker, whatever it was, back to somebody's house, and you put on music. So you go to my house, you get some heavy metal, you'd get some melodic rock. You go to my mate Paul's house, you would get something like Early Red Hot Chili Peppers or Sync or something like that. We went to Stephen's house and we would get Womack and Womack. That's what we would get. Or we would get things like Rattle and Hum, things that I have very little time for, to be honest with you. So when he said, you'll love this, I was like, okay, man, oh man, was he right. This is a great album, and I really like INXS in general. They hit a sweet spot around here. Listen Like Thieves was really good too. And then after that, they kind of disappeared up somebody's own arsehole. And the certain singer is probably more famed now for certain misdemeanors. At this stage, this band is gold. They're absolute gold. I mean, I'll try to listeners over here, excuse me. It's a fancy one with one of these horrible slip things on. So I took the slip thing off so you can see the album properly. Okay. It opens with Guns in the Sky. That's a great song. It's got great energy. It's not the catchiest thing in the world. It's a type of song that makes you really tune in. You think, okay, this is different. This isn't what I anticipated. You're on board straight away. And then you go into New Sensation, and then Devil Inside. I mean, people know these songs. I love the guitar sound on this album. That ding, 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 ding. It's so sharp, it's so in your face, but the drumming,
crystalline guitar chords and things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the drumming, and I'm an ex-drummer. I like extravagant drummers, but the drumming on this album is so succinct. There are little breaks where he maybe just plays an extra beat in a bar, or there's a breaks and you wait for them. You absolutely know that they're coming and you are hooked in. You don't listen necessarily for the greatest drum break in the world as, for example, Nickel McBrain goes wild round the kit, because he does it all the time and it's absolutely brilliant. You know it's going to be there. But you listen for the odd little drum break in this album. And then as you move through, Need You Tonight, there's another Stone Cold classic. And you go into Mediate, which is a really monotone piece of music. It's not got a lyric as such. It's just got little words that just flow together. The video for it is on YouTube, and it's a take on the classic Bob Dylan. They stand and do the cards, and they've got the names on or the words on it. And all the band have a little shot, and they've obviously sped little bits up because somebody couldn't get the card out and various things, and they walk about in the background. It's a really clever thing, but it's a really cleverly constructed song. And then the side finishes with A Loved One, which is another one that kind of ends it on a high. It's a really, really cleverly sequenced album. And I'm a real fan of albums that can do that. I love an album where once you've listened to it a few times, you can even tell how long the gaps are between the songs. I mean, as I say, I'm an ex-drummer from many moons ago, and I spent hours playing the drums behind my kit along with records and various things. How they never jumped. The needles must have been heavier than me back then, But I used to love it when you could come straight out of one song and straight into the other on the opening beat because you knew how long. That's what this album is constructed like. It's a piece of art that's been put together here. And yet, INXS on SOT, all the acronyms, it's a bit unusual. But I tell you what, for a certain period of time, they were great. Really good band. Commercial rock at its absolute finest. I'm going to go out there and say it's the best commercial rock album of the decade. I mean, that's a really, really bold statement, but I'm not really taking the rock side of things there. And side one is a masterpiece. So that's my choice.
Yeah, that was a huge album here in the States. Really big.
Yeah,
they went for a couple of years. They were one of the bigger bands on the planet here in the States anyway.
It was number one, I think, in a variety of different places, top 10 in most territories in the world. You couldn't move for them, and I still never got sick of it. So.
There you go. Cool. All right, my choice is from 1970. God, I've been doing a lot of debut albums of late for some strange reason, and this is another one. So, and we're going to talk about side A of the debut self-titled album from Wishbone Ash, one of the great twin guitar bands in rock and roll history. And yeah, side A. Side B is pretty good, right? Or side one, side two, however you want to say it. Side A kicks off with a song called Blind Eye. It's kind of like their little bluesy boogie status quo type of thing. It's a great catchy song. It's got great guitar licks. It's very, very cool bluesy song, which I love a lot. And then we've got Lady Whiskey, which is pretty heavy. Actually, there's like two really cranking hard rock songs on this side. Lady Whiskey is one of them. Really good riffs, wonderful tasty guitars between Andy Powell and Ted Turner. Absolutely love Lady Whiskey, totally. And then you got the melodic, soaring Errors of My Way, which is just absolutely wonderful. It's kind of like, I think in the way the song is constructed, it's kind of proggy, but majestic and still bluesy and kind of folky at the same time. Just a great vocal from Martin Turner on this particular one. And then the side ends with Queen of Torture, which is another just amazing heavy rock song with these kind of weaving guitars. And the chorus is catchy and just absolutely amazing guitar rocker from this band who, with this first album, I still think to this day that everybody talks about Argus, their third album, which is being their best and their classic. And I wouldn't really argue that. But I would say this first album probably comes a really, really close second. Really, really strong album. And, on side 2, you got the 2 big long epics. You got Handy, which I like quite a bit. And then Phoenix is, easily the best track on the album. But for me, it's side A or side 1, which has the 4 boom, 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 drop dead winners of the song. And man, the lead guitars and the twin harmony guitars that are all throughout this album are just amazing. And they would only get better going forward. But yeah, side A from Wishbone Ash, self-titled, is my pick for today.
That's
got
a great
little
an
Damn
album and a
Yankees.
sound that set the tone for a lot of bands to come.
A lot, yeah. And I know that, and I love them to death. I know Thin Lizzy get a lot of credit for that, but Wishbone Ash were doing it before, and the Allman Brothers were doing it before Wishbone Ash. So it's like, you had these other bands that I think helped get Thin Lizzy on their road, and then Thin Lizzy helped tons of other, much heavier bands. So yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. So side A of Wishbone Ash, self-titled, side A of Kick, and side A of Damn Yankees, self-titled. So we got all side A's today, or side 1s, whatever. So someone I saw a couple of people made a comment that they predicted that when we're done with doing this series, that like 70 or 80% of all the sides that are going to be chosen are going to be side 1 or side A's, because most bands put their best stuff first. But I've done a fair amount of side 2 or side B so far. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be true. It might be greater when you tip the scales, but I don't know.
I think modern records, modern CDs, modern streaming, whatever you call it, all the good shit is front loaded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything on Frontiers records, for instance, all the good shit is right up front, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's chore to get to track 8 and 9.
I think there was a tendency that's very true, a tendency in the days of vinyl to the listener front loaded the album, because what you did was you took it home. Who listens to side 2 first? Some weirdo does, I'm sure they do. Somebody has. Somebody in the comments will go, I always put on side 2 first because I wanted to listen to the album in my own way. We all put on side A, side 1 first, didn't we? Everyone did. So that invariably, 9 times out of 10, when you took the album out, that was the side that you put on. Did you always have time to listen to side 2? Not when you were young.
Yeah. I will say, though, the only album that when I was growing up that I didn't do that with was AC/DC Back in Black. So I always had it in the back of my mind that the first song on that album was the title track, because that's the way I always listened to it. But that's, I think, the only one, because every other one you play side 1 or side A first. And I mean, Moving Pictures is a perfect example of that. I mean, how many, especially if you were old enough to buy it when it first came out, I listened to side A constantly. And by the time it was time to turn that over, I'm like, yeah, I want to hear side A again. And I would just keep playing it. That's growing up. I was like, for the first like 10 years that album was out, I barely listened to the songs on side A or side B. And now all these years later, I'm like, yeah, I've heard side A enough. I want to hear the shit on side 2 or side B, right? Give me Camera Eye, give me, Witch Hunt and Vital Signs any day, right? So, yeah.
I was the same with Back on the Streets by Saxon that we covered when we did that show on the UK Connection, where I think it must have been 10 years after that I first bought it. That I said, well, nobody told me that one of the best songs is on side 2. That's not allowed.
Yeah.
Where did Broken Heroes come from? It wasn't there when I bought it.
Somehow it's been hidden all these years, right? Yeah. It's just listening habits are always, interesting to kind of look at, right? So, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go, everybody. So 3 perfect album sides, in our opinions. Down in the comments below, please list your perfect album side or sides for today. I notice we have a lot of folks who watch the channel who, if I have a guest or guests on, they then give 2 or 3 choices to kind of coincide with us. Whereas when I do the solo shows, everybody does 1. So that's kind of interesting. So that's fine. Everybody's like, well, if Pete's got 2 people on, I'm going to give 3 picks then. I'm like, all right, cool. Get in the spirit of things. That's all right.
Whoa. If the people in the comments get 3 picks, well, I get 3 picks.
Oh, no. It doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Just wait, everybody. I may just have an episode of Perfect Album Sides with all the Hudson Valley Squares and all of In the Prog Seat, and then it'll really throw you guys for a loop. Shit, I got to get 7 picks together for today. Damn it, how am I going to do that? So you never know. You never know. Now that we've kind of broken the 2-person barrier today, anything is up for grabs in the weeks ahead. So there you go, everybody. So thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all
the damn
time.
time.
For Simon Bray from Lancashire and Stephen Reed from Perth, Scotland, I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you tomorrow morning with another Perfect Album Side. And tonight with Hudson Valley Squares. Bye-bye.